Good morning or good afternoon to our respected lecturer and everyone watching this video. Welcome to our presentation. We are from class 15.2A.27 representing the Informatics Study Program at Faculty of Engineering and Informatics, Minas Sarana Informatika University. My name is Erika Agustina and today I am accompanied by my wonderful team members, Nur Aini and Jenis Postu. In this video, we are highly honored to present our final project report titled QRIS as a Digital Payment Standard in the IT Ecosystem. We have conducted a comprehensive multi-perspective review that bridges information technology, user psychology, and economic resilience. Without further ado, let's begin with the background. The rapid evolution of financial technology, or fintech, has fundamentally transformed how society handles financial transactions, shifting us rapidly toward the cashless economy. However, from an IT standpoint, this transition wasn't always smooth. Before 2019, the digital payment market in Indonesia was incredibly fragmented. Every service provider developed their own proprietary QR code systems that couldn't communicate with each other. This lack of interoperability created massive technical inefficiencies for both developers and merchants. To solve this, Bank Indonesia stepped in and introduced QRIS as an unified payment interface standard. Our study focuses on how this technical framework became a survival mechanism for micro, small, and medium enterprises, especially after facing extreme economic challenge and counterfeit money fraud during the COVID-19 pandemic. To make this comprehensive review easier to understand, our team created a synergy framework based on 3 distinct international journals. Think of this research as a car journey. Article 1 acts as the engine, representing the underlying IT framework and back-end switching protocols. Article 2 represents the drivers, which focuses on customers and user adoption psychology. And finally, Article 3 represents the destination, exploring the actual economic benefits and security shields realized by Indonesian small businesses. Now, my teammate Nur Aini will dive deeper into the summary of these articles.
Thank you, Erika. Now I will explain the core literature that will report the first article written by Asri Haspari in College in 2025 provide a high-level architectural conversion of national QR standard across 3 developing countries, Indonesia, India, and Nigeria. The technical takeaway here is the successful implementation of merchant-presented model, a customer-presented model across this region. More importantly, the paper outlets the critical back-end architectural need to send various banking network into a single switching system. For us IT students, it highlights that system success depends entirely on how robust the national payment gateway is handling millions of concrete API calls with minimum latency. Moving on to Article 2, published by Merchant and Other in 2024, the focus shifts to customer behavior. By using an excited UTI-UT framework, the study analyzes what actually drives people to scan QR code. Interestingly, the data show that even if a system is highly useful or easy to use, it won't trigger mass adoption unless there is strong social influence from peer and educate, facilitating conditions such as stable internet and compatible hardware. the data also highlight and the current transition in dominated by Generation Y and university graduate.
Thank you, Nuraini. For my individual analysis on Article 1, I focus deeply on the IT infrastructure and standardization aspect. From an informatics perspective, this paper provides critical knowledge on data exchange and national gateway switching. As tech students, we must understand that QRIS is not just a random matrix of black and white squares, it is a complex decoded data payload. It contains merchant identification data, currency parameters, and cryptographic signatures that ensure secure routing between bank servers in real time. My critique of this article is that while it is excellent at explaining high-level policy, it misses concrete technical performance metrics, such as API failure rate during peak transaction hours or network stress testing outcomes. Now, Nuraini will share her individual perspective on Article 2.
Thank you, Erika. For my personal analysis of Article 2, I examined the human element of technology. This research feature TESR as a virtualism in human-computer intersection build a Boolean system with a device. Database architecture means nothing if the end user refuses to trust it. The excited UT-IoT model use here proves that social influence and community trust acts as the main catalyst in the software developing life seamlessly. However, my personal critique is that while the statistical main behind the quantitative data is rigorous, the demographic scope in wide to localize. Gathering data from only 195 responded mostly centered around Java and Sumatra makes it difficult to apply this behavior conclusion to remove community across Indonesia. Next, Janice will present his individual review on Article 3.
Thank you, Nuraini. In my individual analysis of Article 3, I look at the socioeconomic impact and practical security features of QRIS. This paper reminds us of the ultimate goal of teach development, solving urgent, real-world human vulnerabilities. What stands out to me is how QRIS completely alters the trade landscape for merchant owners. By removing SQL case exchange, it completely neutralizes SQL counterfeit money syndicates and replaces that vulnerability with cryptographic ledger immutability. My critical evolution, however, is that the methodology relies too heavily on secondary literature, reviews, and secondary data. Interviewing only one grocery store owner makes the direct perspective of frontline MSME players look weak. Moving onward, let us synthesize all of our findings into a global comparison of these three articles. We see a beautiful logical loop. Article 1 deals with the macro-structural backend. Article 2 deals with macro-behavioral acceptance. And Article 3 deals with practical everyday economic protection. This proves that in computer science, a great algorithm or architecture means nothing if the target users refuse to adopt it, or if it doesn't solve a real-world human problem. Thank you, Nuraini. Now let's look critically at the strengths of the QRIS ecosystem based on our data. First, the and foremost is its universal interoperability. From an informatics standpoint, QRIS is a masterclass in API standardization. It completely breaks down software silos, allowing entirely different database environments from different banks to talk to one another seamlessly using a single data format. Secondly, the research provides incredibly accurate hyperlocal behavioral data for policymakers, providing exactly with which demographics are ready for a total digital shift. However, as teach students, we must look at the system gaps. The most glaring technical weakness is the extreme dependency on real-time network connectivity. In rural or remote areas of Indonesia, network dead zones render this payment system completely useless. Another neglected factor is hardware obstacles. Low-tier smartphones with low-resolution camera modules often suffer from image processing lag when trying to decode complex QR structures. Furthermore, our review journals have minor limitations, such as a limited survey sample size of 195 people in Article 2 and a heavy reliance on secondary data in Article 3. To conclude, the implementation of QRIS is a massive milestone in Indonesia's digital informatics history. It perfectly demonstrates how software protocols, device security, and network infrastructure can work together to prevent psycho fraud and boost economic speed. But remember, technical performance alone does not guarantee success. Social trust and infrastructure equality are just a vital. To explain the future work and strategic engineering recommendations based on these facts, next, I will hand the floor back to Erika. Erika, please.
Thank you, Janice. Based on the technical gaps and socio-technical findings we discovered across all three journals, our group proposed three actionable strategic recommendations. First, from a network system perspective, the government and financial providers must aggressively expand and stabilize internet gateway infrastructure in rural villages to bridge the digital divide. Second, marketing and user acquisition strategies must shift toward community-based trust, leveraging local micro-influencers and trust figures to validate security. And finally, we must implement the direct digital literacy training programs for traditional grassroots traders and elderly merchants to ensure no one is left behind in this digital transition. Now, let's take a quick look at our academic foundations. As you can see on the screen, these are the three high-quality pre-reviewed journals that backed our research and presentation today. That concludes our group's presentation. On behalf of Nuraini and Janice, I would like to express our deepest gratitude for your time, interest, and attention. We are now highly looking forward to any question, critiques, or feedbacks to help improve our study. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.